At first glance, this old Art Deco dresser, it has its problems, but at the same time, it has a lot of nice features. It has a waterfall top, varied wood types, inlays, solid wood handles. But as you'll find out, not all is what it seems. If you've watched my last video of the 9-drawer laminate dresser, you will have seen this one in my garage as well. I picked both of them up for free from a furniture refinisher that just didn't have the time or the space to work on them. This one's pretty dirty and beat up, so let's get started on the cleanup. Yuck. Here's the underside of the handle. It has a nice cutout scoop for your finger to pull out the drawer. And it looks like they stained it because there's on the bottom of the drawer there's drip stain on some of the drawers. Probably from the factory. There is overspray on the whole left side of the dresser. I presume that it was sitting in the refinisher's garage for a while she was doing other projects, and that's probably why just one side got sprayed. The other side's pretty well clean, doesn't have any overspray on it. I've just put the dresser on its side so I can see the bottom of the dresser, just to see how it's constructed and to clean up the bottom. That's basically how thin the sides are, very thin. Got some veneer, solid wood, and then another piece of veneer here. But, you know, the whole thing is, you know, maybe 1/4 of an inch. All the cross pieces for the drawers give it some stability, otherwise it would break very easily. Often on dressers like this, you'll see cracks and breaks along the edge just because of how thin it is. Aha! It is not glued in. It is unscrewing, so that's good. You'll be able to clean it up a little bit easier. Let me know what you think this finish is in the comments. I'm curious to hear your perspective. Is it some thin, crazy veneer type thing, or is it painted on, or some sort of weird pasted on finish? I have no idea. Now, I often take out these metal little feet here because I put the plastic ones in. They slide better. These have been known to scratch, even though they are original. I'm using an upholstery staple remover to get underneath this and pull it out. There we go. Yes, that's mighty rusty. I've got the dresser on its side and I've been cleaning up, sanding all these side pieces, just taking a lot of the old stain off of it and checking out the rungs and stuff. I found this one here is cracked, so I'm gonna have to fix that. It's a little loose. All the other ones on this side are intact. They're not moving, so I'll have to glue up and fix that one. Now I'm gonna flip it on its other side and do the same thing on the other side. This is where I realized that the top is a light wood and the grain you see in the old finish is actually painted on. Looks like maybe a birch or a maple. I decided to use my little triangle scraper to remove some of the finish on these little finicky parts here. It worked pretty well. I got most of it off. Then I went and hand sanded the rest of it, which worked really well. I also got the part just above it to your left. You can see along the edge. I went in and hand sanded that part as well. So the inlay, which is not an inlay, has got to go. I originally thought it was an inlay, but it's actually just some sort of sticker, or it's not hand painted, I don't think, but because it's too precise. It's more like a sticker. Look at, you can actually see the crude way they've done the corner here. It doesn't even match. It's not even a proper mitered corner. Anyhow, I decided I was going to try to save it, but then I said, there's no way I'm going to be able to sand around it and still leave it intact. So yeah, I'm just going to sand the whole drawer front. Well, this is after day one. I've sanded the entire dresser. Oh, no, I didn't. I lie. I didn't sand one side, so I didn't do that side. But the rest of the dresser is sanded, and I've done one drawer, this one up on the top here. I've placed the other drawer in just to show you the difference. I kind of wish I hadn't lost this. I kind of like that, even though it's fake. And I do kind of like the little, you know, decal there, but maybe I'll look to see if I can replace it with something else, because it's going to be very plain without anything on it. I'm gonna have to give it some thought. There's a little bit of a chip here in the leg, in the back of the leg. So I'm going to glue it and then, whoops, and use some epoxy putty to fill in the voids. You can see here that the drawer fronts are solid wood. You can see where the wood's been laminated together or glued together. Here's the seam here. This is a solid piece of wood as well. The whole construction of the drawer is solid wood. The original finish on it is a faux finish to make it look like a walnut or some sort of other wood. But as you can see here, it's a light wood. Just like the faux finish on here was meant to mimic a different type of wood, just to give it, it's a cheaper type of dresser made to look like a more expensive one the way it's been finished basically. It is rather plain. It's lost a lot of the detail that it had with the paint like this and the decals. What I'm going to do is I'm going to remove everything, put it all back together, and sit back in my chair and look at it and decide what to do after I've got it down to bare wood. Because right now I'm not sure in what direction I want to go in. On this drawer here, 2 little pieces of wood came out, so I'm just gonna put them back in with a little bit of wood glue. What am I going to do with this dresser? This morning it's all about getting the dresser ready to paint and stain. But before I can do that, the drawers don't fit properly. You pull this out and it just drops. This one, same thing. You have to lift it up to push it in. I think they're all, yeah, same with this one. This one drops. That's the third one. You can't see it, it's off camera. The only one that kind of fits okay is the bottom one, but it still doesn't slide real smooth. So I'm gonna figure out what the problem is here. The top needs some oxalic acid right here to see if we can get whatever that is a little lighter. So I've pondered what I'm going to do with this. I went onto my computer last night in AI and did all sorts of configurations of different looks on it, none of which I was happy with. I do know I want to leave some real wood on this, and I don't want to have it fully wood because I just think it's just not a nice wood. So I think it'll look better if it's a combination of paint and wood. So drawer fronts definitely are going to be a wood finish. I'm going to put a stain on them because I just don't like the color of them. And that's all I know for now. So don't have to think about that. I have my job this morning is fixing the drawers, getting the oxalic acid out, and then patching any little holes that I see. And we'll take it from there. Okay, I've got the oxalic acid here. Hope this does the trick. You just never know. I've got some staining in the drawers as well. So I'm just going to apply it to the stain, because I don't really care if it lightens just this spot up. The color up at the top here is the oxalic acid on the top of the dresser, and that's why it looks a different color than everything else. But that gives you a good indication that if you were just to put a clear finish on that wood, the color it would go. It would go a very yellow color. I'm not sure what kind of wood it is, but that's the hue that comes off of it. Not crazy about that color so much, so I think I am going to apply a stain so that I can shift the color a little bit away from the yellow. We'll see how that works. But before I can apply a stain, I have to get rid of these lines. I don't think the camera's picking them up, so I'm going to zoom in a little close. Oh, actually, the camera is picking them up. These lines right here, or where the inlays were, here, here, here. Because they're solid wood drawers, I'm going to just attempt to sand them some more until that goes away, because you will see that if I put just stain on them now. They're sanded right now to 150. I will go over them again, work those areas a little harder, and then I'm going to sand it to 220, because I'll probably put a hard wax oil on the fronts, and I like to sand to 220 when I do that. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do right now. Try to get rid of those marks. And voila, you can barely see the marks. So I'm afraid that if somebody grabs this or something, it's going to crack because it's very thin, the side piece. So I'm going to put another glue block here, and I'm going to try to take this one off, and I'll glue this one back in as well, and then it'll make it nice and rigid. The other side's fine, it's not moving at all. So I keep all these little, every time I take these off of old pieces of furniture for whatever reason, I always keep them because they come in handy for times like this. Looks pretty good. It's not wavy anymore. Let me show you how these drawers are constructed. There's a groove cut out of the side, and attached to the inside of the dresser is a piece of wood that slides into the groove. And in a perfect world, they would slide nicely in and out, but over time they've worn and they're not working so well now. All the rest of the drawers basically just drop as soon as you open them. See, just drops. And that's because they don't fit in the grooves anymore. So all of the drawers will have to be fixed. That is my next thing. Yeah. I really didn't. I should have looked at this at the beginning, but I didn't. But anyways, it is what it is, and I will try to fix them. It would be horrendous if I had to fix all the sides, because I'd have to cut out and put some wood in, make it straight. And I'd have to do that to all of them. And then I'd have to replace all of these as well. I'm not going to do that. It's going to take way too long, and it's way too much work. So what I've come up with is I am going to put some wooden pieces. Here, let me show you. I'm going to put some wooden pieces. I've got one right here. I'm going to put some wooden pieces that the drawers are going to, the bottom of the drawers are going to glide on. So I'm not going to remove the existing slides that are on the side. They're going to stay, but I'm going to put reinforcement so the bottom of the drawers glide properly. I've just completed the first drawer repair, and look at that. It comes out and stays straight the whole time, and it goes back in without me having to lift it. So, repaired. I'll show you what it looks like. I'm using these popsicles, oversized popsicle sticks, to raise the drawer up a little bit, because then it'll have the room to slide before I measure exactly where the drawer runners are going to go. Haha! It fits! Okay, my two train of thoughts is I could go really light on this whole piece or dark on it. And because of the staining on the top that didn't come out, I don't want to go light, because you'll see if I use a stain, you'll see it more. I think the dark will camouflage it. So that's the reason I'm going dark. And I'm sticking to it, I think. The color is called Onyx, and Onyx, I think of Onyx as black, but the sample I saw was a very, very dark brown. So I'm going to use it on all the trim parts here and see how I like it. I forgot to tape actually me applying it, but here it is after I've got a first coat of the Onyx on that bar across the front. And I'm applying it to the sides right now, so you'll see this application of it. I've decided to go for another color on the drawer fronts. I'm using the color Walnut in the Saman brand of water-based stains. I happen to have some on hand, and I tested out the color and I liked it with the trim color Onyx, so that's what I decided to use for the fronts. The key to doing a water-based stain when it doesn't have an extender in it is to go fast and try to get it all on while it's wet. Don't let parts dry out. So I make a goof every time I finish something. I do something wrong, and this is what I did wrong this time. I stained the sides first, and they're fine. I don't have a problem with them. But the middle part I started to stain this morning, probably a little too early, and I got lap marks on it. And then I tried to fix the lap marks by going over it, and then I just made it look like a blotchy mess. So I'm just going to sand it down and start over again. The two front drawers here have the one coat of stain on it. I put a second coat of stain on the back drawers just to make the color a little deeper, but I'm not sure I like it now. I think I prefer the lighter lighter ones. I find when I put the second coat of stain on it, they look a little bit more blotchy. But I am not sanding them down right now, so I'm gonna go ahead, put the second coat on the drawers right here, and I will wait till it completely dries, put it back in the dresser, and make a decision then. The oxalic acid didn't completely remove the stain here, so I'm hoping that the walnut colored stain that I put on top will camouflage it a bit. Fingers crossed. The key to using a water-based stain is you have to work really fast, and you always have to have a wet surface. Things can't dry out or you'll get streaking when you try to wipe it off. So I'm using a very wide brush here on the surface to cover maximum amount, and I'm putting it on quickly and as much as I can to keep it wet before I wipe it off. This is the onyx stain I'm putting on the other side of the dresser. I'm not showing you the side that I goofed up on because I forgot to videotape it, but this gives you an idea of how I did the sides. In the end, I decided to go with 2 coats of stain on everything, and I changed my mind about the hard wax oil and used General Finishes High Performance Top Coat, which is a water-based top coat. Now that the weather has gotten colder in Canada, I work out of my basement workshop, and it's very important to me to minimize any nasty smells coming from the products I use. So that's why I'm using a water-based stain and top coat, because they have very little odor. If it's possible, I'll often remove the drawer bottoms to sand them and then apply the Howard feed and wax to them. It's just so much easier to do it this way, and you just get a cleaner finish, and the sanding of the corners is not a problem. Well, we've come to the end of another redo. This one was a bit difficult for me because I had to remove most of the features that gave the piece character. But character doesn't make something useful when it's in the condition I received it in, so I did what I could to make it useful again. Let me know in the comments what you would have done differently, and enjoy the before and afters. See you next time.